Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. It's the Monday of NFL Week 15. We are talking with Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. We're going to take a look at the Thursday night game, the Bucks and the Rams. Joe Duffy, the Sharps got burned on both these games last week. The Sharps had Detroit over the Rams. Of course, the Rams won outright, and the Sharps also took Tampa Bay last week against the Saints, and of course, the Saints beat them. So what's going to happen here? The Rams are pick 'em or -1. The total's 40.5 or 41. Gurley is a beast for St. Louis, and they have some great weapons on defense, but they definitely had injuries on both sides of the ball. And Tampa Bay, Winston and Doug Martin, they have some weapons on offense themselves. Not a perfect team, but definitely capable. My sense here is that I would take a shot with a bounce back for Tampa Bay, and that St. Louis Gurley gets contained one way or another, but I'm not sure how much I like that. Tampa Bay +1 would be my pick as of right now. Joe Duffy, what's your take on this game?
I think as far as the line move last week, it's clear that the odds makers like Nick Foles more than they like Case Keenum. But remember, my theory, and this is developed, it's not just something that, I pulled out of my rear end. It's been developed over years of just watching football. When you make a lateral move at quarterback, change is good short term. So whether or not Keenum is truly better than Foles is debatable. But when you go from an underperforming quarterback to giving a chance to Keenum, look, it gives your team a little bit of a lift. Plus, the other team doesn't have as much film to scout on. So there's a certain element of surprise. And I think this is probably about the last game that they can bleed it out. But Keenum's only thrown 48 passes, I believe, this year. So there's not a lot of film on them. And I think short term, he's going to be better than Foles. But I think it kind of ends with this game. One of those big myths, I talk about myths all the time with you and Megan, and most importantly on my website. People like to go with a team that needs it more. Within this case would be Tampa Bay, but in the reality, fading teams that are in spoiler situations against a team that has more pressure is usually a good play, and that would say to go with St. Louis. Now, of course, Jameis Winston proved in college he is a great quarterback with his back to the wall. And even at the NFL level, that does count for something. Regardless of whether you think Jameis is a wonderful guy or not, the guy definitely has, balls of steel. He's a big-time player. But this is a short week. This is kind of uncharted water for him, coming off a loss in a very short week. It's also 3 straight home games for the Rams, which I think will really help them on a short week. So I lean towards the Rams.
Yeah, Aaron Donald is a beast. Todd Gurley is a beast, but they do have a lot of injuries and vulnerabilities in other areas of the field. And of course, before the Lions game, the Rams had been at an 0-4-1 ATS run. So you don't see the Lions game as kind of a fluke, and that they're going to revert back more to their struggling ways ATS from before that game?
Well, again, I think the lateral move going to Keenum really helped because, again, they needed kind of that emotional lift, and it's like we're almost in the political season. Change for the sake of change is often good when things aren't going all that well. And I think that spike could last 2 games, but most importantly, the Tampa's a little overvalued because this game means more to them. And other than in week 17, that is not a handicapping edge. Sometimes you got to use counterintuitive thinking. And I assure you, with 28 and a half years of experience as a pro handicapper, teams that need it more are not a good bet when they're playing a team in a spoiler situation.
All right. So do you want to make the Rams pick 'em an official pick here, Joe?
Yes, sir. We'll make it an official
Rams pick 'em it is. I think I'd be leaning Tampa Bay, but I'm certainly not sure about that at all, and I could easily change my mind by kickoff. Joe Duffy from OffshoreInsiders.com. Give a plug for your website.
Yeah, it would be an understatement to say I'm not madly in love with it. But anyway, 5-2. The Monday night game is pending as we follow this. Nice football weekend for us, 5-2 in both the Army, Navy, and the NFL. We already got a bunch of bowl picks up. And probably by the time you see this, plenty of NFL. Just visit OffshoreInsiders.com for the details.
Sounds awesome, Joe. Thanks.